Imagine a hell with no fire, only ice-cold water. The storm is just past, but the real battle for survival is only beginning. Everything is soaked: clothes, wood, supplies, tinder. The only thing burning here is your lungs from the icy wind. The water temperature in the North Atlantic, even in summer, rarely exceeds 12 degrees Celsius. In water that cold, a person loses consciousness in less than an hour. They don't have days, they have hours. And at that moment, one of the pirates draws a pistol, not to fire a shot. He's about to do something that will save everyone, something that seems to defy the laws of physics. How could a weapon designed for killing become the only tool for survival when nature itself was against you? It's like trying to jumpstart a stalled car in the 21st century with a smartphone. Not as a navigator, but as a physical tool to hit the starter. Absurd, yet brilliant. This question isn't about magic. It's about ingenious resourcefulness born on the brink of death. And the answer will change your perception of pirates. In this video, we won't just reveal the trick. First, we'll break down, step by step, why all known methods of starting a fire were doomed to fail. Second, we'll show you the anatomy of this pirate ingenuity, how it worked and what made it possible. And third, we'll dig deeper to uncover other equally brilliant life hacks that allowed these men to survive in impossible conditions. We'll delve into the pirate darknet of that era, the unwritten rules and tricks passed down by word of mouth, which never made it into official maritime regulations. A fire on a ship isn't about comfort, it's about life. Without fire, you can't cook hot food, meaning scurvy and disease will arrive sooner. You can't dry clothes, meaning hypothermia will kill the crew in a couple of nights. You can't seal breaches with hot tar. A ship without fire after a storm isn't just a vessel, it's a drifting, frozen tomb. Hypothermia isn't just feeling cold, it's cognitive collapse. U.S. Navy research shows that when body temperature drops to 35 degrees Celsius, the ability to make complex decisions falls by 40%. The crew isn't just freezing, they are getting dumber by the minute, and they have only a few hours to change that. The first thing that comes to mind is flint and steel. Flint strikes steel, creating a shower of sparks. Even in the damp you can make a spark, but these sparks have nowhere to land. The tinder, specially treated fungus or cotton, has turned into a wet, useless mush. Every splinter, every scrap of cloth is saturated with salt water. And salt water isn't just water. Salt is hygroscopic. It actively attracts and holds moisture from the air. It's chemical sabotage at a molecular level. Even if the tinder dries to 90%, the remaining salt will turn it back into a sponge as soon as the humidity rises. A spark is born and instantly dies, finding no fuel. It's like trying to light a match in the middle of the ocean. All right, what about the supposedly dry supplies in the hold? Barrels of gunpowder, sealed crates. After a storm that ripped sails and broke masts, sealed is a myth. A wooden ship isn't a monolithic capsule, it's a woven basket that breathes water. Maritime historians like Marcus Rediker confirm that even on a completely dry vessel, the crew spent hours just pumping water out of the bilge. After a storm, the hold is a swamp. Salty, damp air penetrates every crack. And even if something feels dry to the touch, it's already saturated with invisible moisture. That's enough to make the hottest spark simply hiss and die. Now, put yourself in the captain's shoes. You see your men, battle-hardened cutthroats, begin to shiver. You hear them cough. You know that desperation is fuel for mutiny. You cannot show weakness. The famous pirate code of Bartholomew Roberts stated that the captain has the deciding vote only in battle or pursuit. At all other times, he is the first among equals. And now, in this frozen inaction, his authority is melting away. You must find a solution that doesn't exist. The price of failure isn't just your life. It's mutiny, the loss of the ship, and a disgraceful death. So all known methods have failed. Flint and steel are useless, supplies are ruined, hope is fading along with body temperature. The ship is dead. In chess, this is called zugzwang, a situation where any move you make only worsens your position. Surrendering to the cold means death. Continuing futile attempts means losing strength and morale, which also leads to death. And when logic hit a dead end, It was time for what engineers call a non-obvious solution, for an idea that begins with the click of a hammer. From the crowd of frozen, stupefied pirates, one man steps forward, perhaps an old quartermaster. He says nothing. He simply draws his flintlock pistol. In the dead silence, the deafening click of the cocking hammer echoes. This isn't just a sound, it's the sound of a powerful mainspring compressing. This mechanism holds immense kinetic energy, designed for one purpose: to smash stone against steel, usually to take a life. But not today. Some think he's gone mad and is about to shoot himself. Others think a brawl over the last of the rum is about to start, but he aims at no one. He drops to his knees. He doesn't take out a cartridge. On the contrary, he empties the bullet and the main powder charge from the barrel, leaving only a tiny pinch on the priming pan. This is a counterintuitive move. To get fire, he gets rid of the gunpowder. He is essentially castrating the pistol, turning it from a long-range weapon into a microscopic forge, capable of working on an area of 1 square centimeter. His target is not a man. His target is the very idea of a cold death. The entire crew is frozen, not understanding what ritual they are witnessing. They see a weapon, but no threat. They see madness, but in the pirate's eyes, there is ice-cold calculation. Then it dawns on the sharpest minds. The flintlock mechanism of the pistol is the same as flint and steel, but on steroids. It's not just flint and steel, it's a powerful spring that releases the hammer at a speed of about 15 meters per second. The impact of the flint on the steel rips away microscopic metal particles, which are heated by friction to over 1,000 degrees Celsius. This isn't just a spark, it's a shower of liquid fire, born in one specific spot. On the pirate ingenuity scale, where a 1 is simply shouting "land ho" and a 10 is capturing a naval fleet with a single rowboat, this trick is a solid 9. Why not 10? Because it's like having the world's most powerful engine, but not a drop of fuel. The pirates solved the ignition problem, but the main puzzle, the fuel, remained. The spark is only half the battle. The most brilliant part is yet to come. Where on earth did he find completely dry tinder on this cursed wreck? A powerful spark is great, but it's useless without something to catch it and turn it into a flame. And we've already established that everything is soaked. Everything except one thing, one substance that every pirate had. This substance smelled of sulfur and death. It had been the cause of thousands of deaths, but on this day, its sole purpose was to give life. The substance that, ironically, is the very heart of the weapon. And now, we will name it. It's black powder. But not the powder that got damp in the barrels. It's the powder that pirates carried with them. In paper cartridges, often soaked in grease or wax for moisture protection. And even better, the fine priming powder from a personal powder horn. The horn was made of, well, horn, a natural polymer that is almost waterproof. It was the personal waterproof container of the 18th century, a personal Ziploc bag that could survive a storm. Inside that horn, amidst the wet chaos, was a completely dry core. Here's the step-by-step guide to resurrecting a ship. Step 1. Find a spot on the deck that is somewhat sheltered from the wind. Step 2. On a relatively dry piece of wood or cloth, sprinkle a tiny mound of that priming powder, no more than a thimbleful. Step 3. Cock the pistol's hammer. The key here is that there should not be a single grain of powder in the pistol's own priming pan. Step 4. Point the barrel away from yourself and the powder mound. Pull the trigger. And Step 5, unspoken but most important, pray that a stray spark doesn't hit the main powder horn on your belt. The difference between a life-saving fire and turning yourself into a fireball was one clumsy move. This was Russian roulette with fire. Why did it work? The physics of the process is flawless. The flint strikes the steel plate with immense force. A shower of white-hot metal particles, with a temperature over 1,000 degrees Celsius, flies directly into the target, the mound of powder. The main secret of black powder is saltpeter, or potassium nitrate. It makes up 75% of its mass. Saltpeter is essentially canned oxygen. That's why gunpowder doesn't need air to burn. It carries its oxygen with it. It doesn't care about the surrounding dampness. It ignites like a self-sufficient microstar. This isn't smoldering. It's a mini explosion that produces a short but incredibly hot flame. Its temperature is high enough to ignite even slightly damp wood shavings. This first flame lasts only a second, but it is awaited. The crew has already prepared the best they have, dry fibers scraped from the inside of a plank with a knife, threads pulled from the only dry shirt under a storm coat, maybe even a piece of cloth soaked in the last of the rum. They are instantly brought to the flash, and there it is, the first glowing ember. They called it the fire chick. It was incredibly fragile. They didn't blow on it with their mouths, as human breath is too moist. They placed it in a nest of dry fibers and gently spun it in the air, letting the dry ocean wind itself give it life. After a few agonizing minutes, despair on the ship gives way to hope around the first trembling fire. Stop for a second. This principle, finding a dry core in a wet chaos, is universal. Think about your most difficult problem. Was there one tiny, stable element that you could use as a fulcrum? In the modern theory of inventive problem solving, this is called finding the ideal final result using available resources. The pirate, without knowing it, acted like an elite innovative engineer. He wasn't looking for dry wood. He was looking for a guaranteed flash. And he found it in a weapon. This simple shift in focus is the difference between ingenious survival and certain death. But the pistol wasn't the only item pirates used against its creator's intent. Take rum. It wasn't just a drink for courage. It was an antiseptic that saved them from gangrene after a boarding. It was a currency that could be used in any port. And in a pinch, it was fuel for a signal fire or for that very first kindling. It's no wonder the British Navy procured rum with an alcohol content of at least 57%. This standard was called gunpowder proof. If you soaked gunpowder in such rum, it would still ignite. It was a built-in quality check for the drink. Rum wasn't just liquor. It was a certified multi-purpose survival tool. However, the most famous pirate trick wasn't about survival, but business. The Jolly Roger. Its purpose wasn't to scare you to death. Its purpose was to offer a choice. Surrender without a fight, and we'll only take the cargo. Fight, and we'll take your lives. The Jolly Roger was the world's first logo with a clear call to action, not just a threat, but a business proposal. It instantly communicated the pirate's unique selling proposition to the victim: your money or your life, but not both. This was brand management in its purest form, saving them more powder and blood than any cannon. This same logic applied when technology failed. A storm shattered the compasses and astrolabes, but the pirates were not blind. They read the ocean, the direction of the swell, the color of the water, the types of birds. For example, the gannet. If pirates saw one, they knew land was no more than 150 miles away. The flight of frigate birds foretold another storm. This was a biological GPS built into the ecosystem itself. You just had to know its language. They used nature as their most accurate navigational instrument. But all these tricks, with the pistol, the rum, the flag, are just symptoms. They are manifestations of the main pirate weapon, a weapon that could not be taken or broken. As the old sea saying goes, any fool can steer a ship in a straight line in calm weather. You see a true captain when the rudder breaks in a storm. Pirates lived in a constant state of a broken rudder. This weapon is not in an armory. It's between the ears. And now we will formulate its main principle. That main principle is a mind free from templates. The pirate didn't see a pistol. He saw a mechanism for creating a spark. He didn't see rum, but a flammable, disinfecting liquid. In psychology, this is called overcoming functional fixedness, the cognitive bias that prevents us from using an object for something other than its intended purpose. The pirate mind was, by definition, free from this factory defect. For them, there was no right or wrong way to use an object. There was only works or doesn't work. The ability to instantly redefine the function of any object depending on the task, that is what separated the survivor from the drowned. How can you apply this today? Here's the 3-step flintlock protocol. First, Redefine the tool. When facing a problem, look at your resources and ask, what else could this be? Second, find the dry core. In any chaos, there is an island of stability. Find it and build your solution around it. Third, create a mini flash. Don't try to solve the whole problem at once. Find one small action that will produce an instant hot result and trigger a chain reaction. This protocol is the unconscious application of a methodology used today by NASA engineers and special forces. The Apollo 13 crew survived by building an air filter out of duct tape and socks. They redefined the tool. This pirate algorithm is an eternal law of survival. And finally, the main question. What do you think? Was this trick with the pistol the result of one man's brilliant cold calculation? Or was it blind desperation that accidentally led to the right solution? Or perhaps, brilliant calculation is only born from absolute desperation. Maybe they are two sides of the same golden coin of survival. Write just one word in the comments, calculation or desperation. Let's see which one gets more votes.